Hi there, it's Blair here at Time Trades. I wanted to pull together this supercut of about the last 6 weeks or so of weekly analysis videos. They have helped me stay on the right side of this big move down, and I wanted to give you a chance to see some of the work that goes into the analysis here so that you can get a better understanding of what happens with time trades and what's included with your subscription. So let's jump right in. There's Venus Earth Synodic, Venus Mars Synodic, and Earth Mars Synodic. So those are the three planets, and we're looking at the synodic cycles for all three. We're looking at 180-degree intervals for all three. Okay, so and we've anchored it to the 2021 high over here. All right. And if we zoom out a little bit, we can see how each of these three synodic cycles spit out labels every time those cycles move 180 degrees. Now, what's interesting here is Jean on that on that preview file here talked about a 3-year, 3-month, and 15-day cycle. So I wanted to know kind of what was happening around 3 years, 3 months, and 15 days. And it turns out that's about 1,200 days. So I put 3 years, 3 months, and 15 days on the chart, and there it is. And you can see what's happening here is it's ending right at the time when Venus Earth moves 2 full cycles. So this is 180 degrees is half, 1.5, 2. Okay, so that's 2 over here. And this one is Venus Mars. So that's moving a half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5. Okay, 3.5 orbits of that cycle. And this is Earth Mars. 1/2, 1, and 1.5. Okay. So all of these cycles complete sort of major either 360-degree orbits or 180-degree orbits. They all complete major 180-degree intervals of their movement after about 1,200 days. Okay. And this is going to be relevant as we update our forecast. The last of these three hit on February 27th. Had some big ones here, Mercury, Venus, Mars. So that's 3 planets, all within 1.278 degrees of each other in 3 dimensions. And then we've got Venus-Mars conjunction coming up here on Wednesday at 11 a.m. No, 12 noon Eastern time on Wednesday, we've got Venus-Mars conjunction, and that's conjunct with the sun. So these are all heliocentric. So this is why I have a little mini green target box up here, because we're right at some planetary lines. We're at the Venus and we're at the Mars planetary line, and we're also tracking this rising one by one. So I think we could see a bit of a dump here, maybe into these square of 9 price levels at like 21.8 or so. So we could see something where price goes up into the target box, a little bit of a dump down later in the week, and then a final push up into the target box later. That you can see that the target box that we've drawn on the daily chart starts over here on the 26th, and then it ends on March 16th. So we'll just review all of that rationale so you understand why I'm bearish. So if we go and take a look back at what happened at the 2021 top, and this is a bit of a review from last week's video. I'm using some of the techniques picked up from Gene Long, who was a famous financial astrologer for many, many years. And I'm using the time trades rulers to visualize some of the interplanet synodic cycles here. So this ruler at the top is anchored to the October 2018 high, right? So we're anchoring to a high and we're tracking 180 degrees of Venus, Earth, Venus, Mars, and Earth, Mars. Okay, so it's a fairly slow cycle of fast synodic pairs. All right, so we're not looking at the slow outer planets, we're looking at the faster synodic pairs, and we want to see when those come together. And starting in 2018, you can see we've got this cluster here of Earth, Mars moving 1.5 cycles, Venus, Earth moving 2 cycles. And in the middle here, we've got Venus, Mars moving 3.5 cycles. So these cycles kind of cluster right here at the 2021 top. And then we've got the second ruler, which is anchored to the pre-financial crisis top in 2007. And this shows Venus Mars. So Venus Mars is like this, it tends to be like this outlier. It's like the fastest of the 3 synodic cycles. And we've got Venus Mars from 2007 happening at the same time as the other 3 from 2018, right during a Venus interval 6. Okay. So that's exactly what's happening again here. We've got the 3 cycles from 2018 plus Venus Mars from 2007 happening right during a Venus interval 6. So this looks like a big replay of the 2021 top to me, and this is a big reason why I'm bearish. Let's go and take a look at that. Again, we can go over here to 2021, and we can take a look at some of the fib retracements, and let's see, what do we have? So if we anchor this fib retracement to the all-time high and basically the low before the final top, and then we can take a look at some of the ranges here. We can see that the initial flush down stopped at around the 2.618 extension or expansion of that. So let's turn off PL intercurrent. We don't need that right now. So what I'm seeing here is I really think that anywhere from 1.618 expansion to 3 is kind of the analog range based on the 2021 top. So if we apply that over to the current top, we've got the all-time high over here in December 16th in the futures. And then I'm using the January 27th low just because it's resting on that 1 by 1. So I kind of like it a little bit better than this one. Probably doesn't make much of a difference, to be honest. And then we're just looking at the 1.618 range expansion all the way to the 3x range expansion. Hey there, it's Blair here at Time Trades. Today is Sunday, March 2nd, 2025, and this is your weekly analysis video. Okay, so we have no rating for last week. Our target box is up here, and it's fairly wide. It started February 27th, ends March 13th. We got confirmation. This is the important thing of the flush for the last few days is we got very strong confirmation as price dropped down through this 1 by 1 here. That was our confirmation line that we've been tracking for a while now. And we sliced through it quite decisively. And now we're bouncing off the 1 by 1 from way over here, the 2018 top. So we're at some very important levels here. I just want to emphasize how important this touch was over here on February 19th. So it touched the Mars and Venus helioplanetary line. So that's all we're showing here, scaled at 1800. 2 lines on the chart, and they are mirrored. And we also have the speed index up there. I've talked a lot about how the speed index is making a new low over here, March 21st. This is the lowest speed index since 94. All right, so that is a significant date. Um, so when we have touches on planetary lines like this, especially on days when Venus and Mars are conjunct heliocentrically and they touch that planetary line, you can see how we've very rapidly came all the way down and touched the next one down, the next lower Venus and Mars helioplanetary line. So if we look for the next band lower, that is also giving us another target area. So once that repaints, we can see the next lower band of Venus and Mars helioplanetary lines, and that could be another target lower. And we can see that down here in the 19,080 to 18,900 range. We continue to track our forecast arrow down into the green box. We wicked down to that level. So the level of the green box was 19,856 on NQ, and we wicked below that. So this is already a B grade forecast, this lower forecast box here. Now there's a pretty violent correction up on Friday. So I think the big question is this a low, or are we going to see some continuation down? I continue to believe we're going to see some continuation down, and I'm going to go over the reasons for that now. Hey everyone, it's Blair here at Time Trades. Today is Saturday, March 15th, and this is your weekly analysis video. Okay, well, the forecast has been evolving pretty much as we expected with continued downtrend in the past week. We achieved the top of the target box here, and we had a little bit of a pump on Friday. This purple line here is really just a trend line connecting the high on February 21st and the high on March 6th. And we were able to get a close above that on Friday. I don't think that means we're suddenly going to turn bullish, though. If we look at the GAN fans, if we turn on our GAN fans here, you can see that what we have is basically we've only crossed this band here, this declining 1/3 from the February 19th high. So we basically consolidated horizontally across that this week. The lows made on Monday were not substantially challenged. We got a slightly lower close on Thursday, but we haven't seen a real dramatic move up above, especially this 1x2 here. And I look at the 1x2s as really important, and also the 1x1s as well. So we haven't crossed above any of the 1x1s. We haven't crossed above any of the 1x2s. All we've crossed above is this little trend line here, and we've consolidated sideways across this declining 1x3. Here, really what I want to just focus on is the juice indicator from Time Trades intraday. All right, that's a little bit more legible. So we've got this juice label coming up on Tuesday, March 25th at 9 a.m. And what is a juice? It is a high precision 3D conjunction. Now, this is measured heliocentrically. Okay, so what this means is the Sun, Mercury, and Venus are all lined up within 1.5 degrees of each other in 3 dimensions. Okay, so that's a key element here. This is a 3D lineup, not just we're not just measuring longitude. And what I find happens here is we tend to get moves up into these juice spikes, and you can see prior examples of that. And then we tend to get moves down on the backside of them. The fear here is that, you know, we could have a really strong rally going back up to maybe the 50% retrace or the 382 retrace. The 50% retrace also coincides with Venus-Mars planetary lines that we ripped right through on the way down. So I don't discount kind of a violent short covering rally in here, but I don't see anything that's going to change the multi-week trend. And I do think that the trend is down. And ultimately, if we look at the GAN fans, we put the GAN fans back on, all we're really doing is just kind of recovering back to this declining one by one. And hey everyone, it's Blair here at Time Trades. Today is Saturday, March 22nd, 2025, and this is your weekly analysis video. Okay, we're looking at an A forecast. I drew this box probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we got a wick down into it on Friday as well as on Wednesday. So, very good forecast. This was drawn back on the weekend of March 2nd, I believe. So you can tell by the arrow here, had it going up into March 5th and then a strong move down. And I missed the up move, but definitely got the strong down move. We can review the new forecast that we introduced last week. And this forecast is basically going to stay unchanged. We're calling for either a consolidation or a move or a corrective move up into what I think the highest level is going to be over here, which is about 20,700, although I'm probably going to drag it up a little bit just to hit this 50% retrace level over here at 20,838. I think this confluence of the one by one fan down from the February top, as well as the 50% retrace, as well as the GAN fan or the square of 9 price level. And we also have a square out point here using the Venus-Mars synodic time factor. Okay, so I'm just going to make this little adjustment here and move this arrow up. I'm not going to change the timing here of this at all. I'm going to stay with this time frame starting April 3rd, ending April 7th. And a big reason for that timing comes from the Time Trades AI forecast here for the Dow. And you can see we've got a very strong spike in pivots around April 4th and April 7th. Okay. So I do think that's going to be kind of the timing extent of any counter trend move up here. Hey there, it's Blair here at Time Trades. Today is Saturday, March 29th, and this is your weekly analysis video. Okay, so I usually start by going over my forecast and then update it. This time around, I'm going to start with the new forecast and explain why it is what it is. There's a lot going on here. Markets are very weak. It's a very risky juncture, and I just kind of want to cut to the chase. The first thing I want to show you, though, is obviously markets have been going down since February 19th top. The forecasts in February and March have been pretty much on point, calling for a big move down. If we go and look at the US dollar, since about February, we can see the US dollar's been declining as well. Typically, a weak dollar is supportive for markets. But if we're seeing a weak dollar and weak markets, that tells me that money is leaving the American financial system. This tells me that investors, corporations, countries are repatriating US dollars. This is a risky development. Surprises will be on the downside. So let's go back to our forecast chart, and I'm going to share my forecast right here. And I'm going to explain why it is what it is. Okay. Now, our prior forecast from last week, no, that's not it. Where was it? Existing forecast. Here we go. Here's the existing forecast on where we left things off last week. Okay. So we're calling for a little bit of a consolidation here and a move up into early April. Okay. I'm going to leave that there. I think that's still valid. We've got this declining one by one here. This declining one by one is mapped and anchored to the square of 9, but the square of 9 is using a different time factor. It's using Venus Mars. Okay. Typically, I use Sun by default. But in this case, I'm using Venus Mars. Why am I using Venus Mars? Because Venus and Mars were conjunct heliocentrically on the 19th, and that's the anchor point of this fan. So you can see the importance of this fan here as price gapped over the 1 by 2. Okay. So this is like this declining 1 by 1, I think, is the point of kind of maximum retracement. We can see this week there's a 382 of this entire retrace. That was pretty strong resistance. Price rejected from that 382. So this tells me that we could be setting up for a potential A, B, C, D down, right? The confirmation level for confirming that is this Gann fan down here. Now, what is that line? Where does that come from? This comes from the start of the 2022 bull market over here in December 2022, late December. So it was really the 2023 and 2024 bull market, about 2 years, not coincidentally about one orbit of Venus, one Venus geocentric cycle. Or sorry, not Venus, Mars. So this is about one Mars geocentric cycle. So if we look at where we're at right now, okay, we look at the broader picture. Okay, yes, we're sitting on top of a 1 by 1. Yes, we may get a little technical bounce here coming up, may consolidate a little bit further. But I think it's important to really just keep things simple when times are volatile, like now, and not overtrade. As we saw on Friday, surprises will be on the downside. We want to be positioned for those. We don't want to try and get fancy. And it's now April 5th, 2025. I am recording this today. And you can see the results of all this analysis. We have been consistently on the right side of the market, starting with recognizing the importance of the Venus-Mars helio conjunction on February 19th. On February 22nd, I said this looks like a big replay of the 2021 top to me, and that's a big reason why I'm bearish. On March 29th, I said surprises will be to the downside. And we proceeded to just miss the target box of a corrective high by 1 day with the tariff announcement coming and a major gap lower. That was confirmation as we gapped down below a rising 1 by 1. And now we're sitting right on a very long-term rising 1 by 1 Gann fan, having achieved the ABCD correction that we talked about. So that's a great summary of the weekly analysis videos that I put together. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching till the end. If you'd like some more information, feel free to check out time-trades.com. Thank you.